Mm.
And I actually should send out a real brief email there. One of John Calvin's problem, I think, and I tend to be more of him than an Augustinian rather than, not. But he tried so desperately to tie up all the loose ends between God's sovereignty and human responsibility,
right,
that he went on one side.
Mm-hmm.
It's all God's sovereignty. Well, yeah, ultimately it is, but yet the Bible's so clear that we are responsible for our own fate.
That's right.
And somehow that doesn't make perfect sense. Okay, I can live with that. When if I was preaching, I certainly would tell somebody, hey, this is your decision.
That's right.
You've got to make a decision here. But now on this side of salvation, I look back and say, that was all God. That was all God. I had nothing to do with it. And so how those two things work together, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in conversation with you, it's a great reminder that we have our part to play. And we cannot use in fact, the idea of God's sovereignty can lead people into silly directions, thinking that I can get away with it because God is not to blame. By the way, that's a very easy thing to do. But I think you're encouraging me by saying there are some contradictions we need to live with.
Apparent paradoxes.
Thank you. There you go.
I would not call them contradictions, maybe apparent contradictions, apparent paradoxes that, again, and you talked about this.
Yeah.
Because we are not all-knowing. I mean, we have a limited perspective. We can't see everything.
Yes.
But trust in the one who can.
Right. What problems do we encounter though with that line? Do we lose anything by saying that? By saying my worry is philosophy of religion really feasible, Dr. Wilson? Hegel tried to do this thing where he tried to make philosophy is the critical examination of our assumptions.
Yes.
And does it mean, as Christians, can we really do philosophy of religion, in the classic sense or the analytic sense, by the way?
Well, we do that, and when we talk about pastoral and such, in the classic sense, folks are doing it there also. I mean, one of the things that we talk about when we move and say, well, let's deal with the pastoral field. Let's deal with their problems. Well, as you well know, in dealing with philosophy, quite often we're dealing with simply putting names and thoughts and organizing what's already in the atmosphere. Those thoughts are there. That reason, that argument is already there. So the person that you mentioned about the child, well, they've reasoned it out in some way. They may not have put it into standard form, but they have some kind of an argument about it.
Right. But so you asked about, you said it should be the scholars or individual passion for something. See, I believe that that's the direction I'm going. I'm going in the direction of saying theodicists are making a mistake by thinking that we can reconcile all the contradictions in Christianity. And Jim is reminding me that we need to call them apparent paradoxes. So in the sense that we believe by and by, it will become clear to us, Is that a good answer, Jim?
Well, there are certain things that's the only answer. And again, if you have pushed it as far as you can go, and you're not doing the bumper sticker, I know, whatever, and that's, the Bible says it, I believe it, and that settles it. Okay, right. As long as that's not where you're going,
right?
We have to be careful about that,
right?
Then I think it's okay, yes, to go that route,
right?
Because these idiots don't know it all either, and they, again, as they've tried to, with Hick trying to say that evil is good, geez, does that really help?
Does it? Yeah, it does.
I'd rather go to Romans 8:28, where God can take that evil and make something good out of it, bring good out of it. That does not say the thing was good.
Good. In fact, Jim, one of the in the published article, one of the arguments I made is that theodicists and theists get in trouble by doing that. Say you can't say evil is good. You can't keep talking like that, because then you can justify atrocities.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Hey, let's go ahead and drop a bomb on Syria.
Right.
In the long run, it's a good act.
Yeah. So, so for me, the resolution is coming to, and again, it just goes back to reading the paradoxes of Jesus, that there are some of these apparent contradictions that we need to embrace. And that is what I'm calling paradigms of paradox. Meaning, in the bigger scheme of things, I see that what the message of Christ and the life of Christ is transforming.
Okay, let me use again, the paradox that you referred to. Jesus died.
Yeah.
How can, wait a minute, that's wrong. He's supposed to be our leader. He's our Messiah. How's he supposed, how's that a good thing?
That's right.
Well, if you look, and this is where C.S. Lewis has the grasp on that in the Chronicles of Narnia, when Aslan comes back to life, his response to the girls is, there was a deeper magic, which didn't know about. And it's like, and that's just it. Again, you give up your life to gain your life.
Yeah, no, that's right.
That doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right.
Yeah, because there's a deeper magic that you don't know.
I like that.
There's, again, we don't know it all. And so it's like, okay, instead of striving to save your life, be willing to give it up. You're going to have a more abundant life. Well, that makes sense if you understand who's in control and what his objectives are. But if, you fight to save it, you're going to lose it type of deal. So, again, those apparent paradoxes can only make sense if you get a different perspective. Now, again, as we are transformed, we get a different perspective, and some of that starts making sense to us. But, it's not all going to make sense, until the sweet by and by, maybe. And the other thing in here, death isn't the ultimate enemy. And that's where a lot of this comes in. And if death is the ultimate enemy, now that's a different paradigm. And that's, one thing. Again, we lost a child in my first marriage who was born prematurely. I don't want to hear somebody tell me that was a good thing. No, it wasn't. It was a bad thing.
Very good.
And if somebody would have come to me at that point and said, well, it was God's will, I would have slugged them.
That's right. I hear you. I like that.
Or just laughed at them or whatever. Just get out of here.
Oh my goodness.
On the other hand, I do believe God can take that thing, which he did not ultimately want to happen at the beginning of time. This is not the world we were created to be in.
That's right.
Take that and change it into something good, because what he has done in my life, now again, depends on human responsibility here. I could become bitter, angry, tell God to get out of my life, the whole 9 yards. It becomes a bad thing. On the other hand, he took that and changed my heart and allowed me to minister to other people who ended up being in similar situations. Yeah. And I never would have been able to do that before that situation. So he, just like he transformed what looked like a loss with the cross,
that's right,
into a victory, he took that thing, or Joseph being sold into slavery, not a good thing.
Not a good thing. There you go. Absolutely.
But God changed it into a good thing.
Yeah. And
no, that sounds very Iranian.
but yeah, and isn't Hicks theodicy Iranian?
It is.
That's right. Well, in chapter 9, if you guys have that outline, I talk about moving from theodicy and anti-theodicy into apologetics, which is, and I say in that chapter that we need to embrace these apparent contradictions, meaning we can live with them and not try. We cannot pretend that we can answer all these questions, but accept the idea that there is some apparent contradiction, but I'm not really going to try and answer that, and then move into things that can be used in ministering to people pastorally, meaning that it assists our ministries. And as Jim was bringing out, by the way, this was in my dissertation, and it was a critique of Hick. It said, okay, what is this all about? Meaning, what difference does it make? So my chapter 9 deals with that really, in saying that our role also should not just be to protest against what theodicy has said, but suggest something ourselves. How do we deal with it? And
now, Wilbur, I have some more questions that I can raise, and they connect with Hegel, Kierkegaard, and your paradoxes. But we've got about 5 minutes here. I want to move you on, or ask you to give some attention to the research and the grant writing part of what you've been doing.
Okay.
Tell us about that.
Well, so the proposal I made, I'm submitting to the NEH, deals with chapter 6, which is I look at some cross-cultural defenses. So I look at 3 ideas. One is the doctrine of the coincidence of opposites, as it is expounded in some Western theological and philosophical systems. And then I look at what we call the principle of polarity, as expounded in African traditional philosophies and religions. And weird thing that in my research I'm finding out, some Africans travel to Asia, and so we find this same idea also engaged in Asian thought. Then finally, we look at the Chinese. I think we call it the Chinese middle way philosophy of paradoxical integration. What to me is exciting is really going back to Jim's idea that paradoxical integration says we can live with these apparent contradictions. That it's a problem to try and think that we need to resolve them all. And so that's what chapter 6 will be doing. Chapter 7 looks at philosophical justifications. I just rely on Hegel. Then there's a young man, what's his name, called Howard Slattery. Actually, he's not a young man. He's probably passed away now. But he wrote a great book, The Pertinence of the Paradox, and he deals a lot of theological and philosophical themes, and really shows the centrality of paradox in these systems. And then another one is Tristan Lass, published a book from a Raleigh publisher. I don't know what it is, where it is, but so those 3, I look at them and I say they do not talk about paradigms or paradox or apparent paradoxes, but this is actually what they're doing. They're showing where where it is possible and very powerful to embrace the contradiction. Then in chapter 8, I'll be looking at some criticisms that atheists have made of theodicy and any position taken by believers. And what I found out is their opposition is completely based on the fact that there are contradictions or apparent contradictions.
Oh, yes.
So now that I've shown that there are these justifications of embracing paradox, wow, it actually answers many of their objections and strengthens many of the theodicies, by the way. And then the other thing I say, and Jim brought this up, the problem is with the atheism, it embraces a certain paradigm and pretends that paradigm has been approved by everybody.
Okay.
See? And Jim has this great thing of our story, our myth. And I say, well, for me, the people I want to listen to are, Dr. Wilson, Dr. Buckley criticizing theodicy. I don't want to hear an atheist. They are coming at it from a completely different paradigm.
Theodicy is not an issue for them. They don't have a God.
That's right. But they're using these contradictions and I say, well, the only way you can begin to discuss this issue is, first of all, accept the theistic paradigm first. You can only critique it from that position. You cannot be coming from outside with other assumptions that we don't accept,
right?
And say we need to pay attention to that. No.
And the thing is, if you're coming from a position of atheism, what's the hope anyway?
Exactly.
I mean, you've got despair. I mean, you put me in a worse position. Okay, you say you have a problem because there's evil, even though we insist there's a good God.
Right.
Well, now here you've given me evil, and there's nothing.
Nothing. See,
unless you're Nietzsche and you're happy to live in a world beyond good.
Who, Nietzsche?
Beyond good. Yeah, that's just total. No, thank you, Joyce Pandelis.
That's right. No, thank you. Totally. It's Nietzsche's ethics is just ridiculous. First of all, because sorry, Wilson. It's silly to talk. It's silly to talk that way.
The result of syphilis and insanity.
I don't know about that, but you're right. So anyway, you guys are encouraging me because these are the things I've been trying to write slowly by slowly. Some of these chapters are really written, but about 3 of them fully. And
good. Well, keep plugging, Wilbur.
I'm trying. Thank you, and thank you for your time and for your comments. This is this is wonderful.
Well, we certainly do appreciate this, and we appreciate your being on the call today. I see it's 5.
Yes.
And that's probably a good time to thank our speaker of the day.
Thank you so much.
I enjoyed this, gentlemen.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Thank you for your comments, and they are helpful. They have encouraged me. So have a great weekend.
Yes, you also.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.